Tim Burton is my favorite filmmaker. I feel somehow connected to his movies. There are so many films he has done, and so I thought I'd list my favorite movies of his. Keep this noted, this list isn't in any order. There are some movies I reviewed in the past. I'll be sure to make these said reviewed films as brief as possible. Plus, I will only cover movies he directed. The Nightmare Before Christmas is an example, as he only produced the movie, as much as I love the film. That said, here are my favorite Tim Burton films. This is my favorite movie of his. Beetlejuice is a blend of both horror and comedy. Michael Keaton was great for the role. The humor is well landed and hilarious. The moments where it's supposed to be frightening have done it just right. It's mostly a comedy, so you don't have to worry about it being too scary. As of making this video, the sequel is coming out soon. I cannot wait. This is one of two biopics Tim Burton worked on. Ed Wood feels almost like a making of documentary as stated in the past. The choice of making the movie black and white fits the time era in which it takes place. The performance from the late Martin Landau was outstanding. He rightfully deserved the Academy Award for such. I may sound biased, but this is my favorite biopic, again said in the past. I mentioned this before, but for those who don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of romance films. Edward Scissorhands is one of those exceptions. This movie has a harmonious story. I will admit, I did feel the emotions in one scene. It was nice to see the late Vincent Price doing his part. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen the film yet. Musical slasher at its finest. Sweeney Todd isn't for everyone, as it does have a quantity of bloody violence, but what it does provide is a well-crafted musical. Tim Burton is unafraid to show blood, and it shows. The songs are great, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no auto-tune. I'm looking at you, Into the Woods. Sweeney Todd is my recommendation for every horror and every musical fan out there. Batman is a beloved superhero from the DC universe. I prefer Superman myself, but Batman does his job right. Of course, Batman has his fair share of films, much like Superman. The 1989 version happens to be my favorite next to its sequel, Batman Returns. Michael Keaton is my favorite Batman. Pretty much everyone is well casted. The action scenes are impactful in both movies. I love Tim Burton's style, it's fitting to the universe. Sure, there were two other Batman movies afterward, but they didn't stand out above the first two. Tim Burton only produced Batman Forever. He didn't work on Batman and Robin, thankfully. Stick with Batman 1989 and Batman Returns. Brace yourself for the ultimate tearjerker on the list. Big Fish is a beautiful yet eccentric film that will make you cry guaranteed. It was a relief that Tim Burton didn't lose his touch after Planet of the Apes. It's a one-time watch for sure. I'm unsure if people agree, but I believe this film has a great moral. If you are willing to watch the movie, bring lots of tissues. Yet another biopic from Tim Burton himself. Big Eyes tells the true story of the now late Margaret Keane. She was an artist of the big-eyed individuals. Her husband Walter takes all of her credit. Throughout, we get to see what she goes through. The movie is depressing, not in the same line as Big Fish, but it's still sad. Amy Adams makes a convincing Margaret Keane. Much like Ed Wood, Big Eyes isn't all eccentric. This movie tells an interesting story of a real-life person. Accurate or not, I say give it a watch. What started as a childhood trauma to one of my favorite movies. Sleepy Hollow is an adaptation of a classic fairy tale, and it's a satisfactory time all the way through. The movie does a great job using practical and special effects. Like I stated with Sweeney Todd, it's not for everyone because of the violence. It's overall one of my favorite horror movies with smart filming choices. Here's a good film using the stop-motion technique. Corpse Bride is technically from two directors. Tim Burton is one of them, of course. The other is Mike Johnson, who worked in an animation department for movies like Anomalisa. This gothic tale is a musical. All of the songs are well constructed. I love the character designs and their development. This movie came out in the same year as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, another Tim Burton flick. Go with Corpse Bride. You'll save a lot of time that way. Thank you for watching my video showcasing my favorite Tim Burton films. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel,